Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. It's March 6th, 2020. It's a Friday. I like to give you something to think about on a Friday. Although today is also going to be very informative, too. Remember that word solstice? I'm going to come back to that. Remember that word. Last night I was just rifling through some videos of my own and also others. And I came across, somebody saying in one of their videos about 2009 in New York City or in New York, whatever, you could see two suns. Now, I went online and I tried to find this information because I wasn't into Flat Earth in 2009. I didn't, and if I did see the article, I really didn't care, Who cares? Reflection off of something. The scientists will, I'm sure, come up with an accurate description of what exactly people saw. Anyway, so I can't find anything on it, which I find pretty remarkable. Now, remember, in 2009, cell phones were really not at the peak, at the point. 2009, you were still sitting there with flip-up phones and probably a 2-megapixel camera at best. So, you couldn't ask for much. I mean, you couldn't expect much back then with the camera situation. It was about 10 years, almost 11 years ago. Yeah, 11 years ago, they just were starting to come out with the smartphones. So, and that's what you're looking at right now. Hasn't changed at all. 11 years, 12 years, hasn't changed a bit. So we did have better megapixels. I think maybe it was like 8 or 7, something. Maybe Apple had it, but who cares? I don't even know how I get into this shit. It distracts me, and when I really want to talk about something. Anyway, so I couldn't find a picture. I couldn't find a video. I couldn't find a selfie. I couldn't find dick. Okay, so I gave up looking at that. Although I came across another article, and I live in New York. I remember hearing about this a long time ago, but I didn't really think of anything of it, because I wasn't a flat earther back then. You see, when you become a flat earther, you start to uncover and unravel things, and you're able to explain phenomenons that have going on in a totally different perspective, where it makes sense, not a scientific perspective, where it's confusing, and you're throwing mathematics and shit you just don't understand and you don't care about, because you're at a college or you've already got your master's degree. Well, why do I have to go back to school to figure out why the fuck I'm seeing two suns, or why the reflection is incorrect, or why I'm looking at a rainbow and where rainbows come from, and all this other nonsense, because all they come up with is just mathematical solutions when we come up with simple stuff that explain everything. And I'm going to get anyway. So the reason why I wanted you to think about that word solstice, because when I think about that word, I think about Stonehenge. That's what I think about. The winter and also the summer solstice. I would never think about New York City. However, there is one in New York City, and it happens once a year on July 12th, when the sun is coming closer to us, and the sun is going away from us. Unfortunately, on that particular day, July 12th, is on a Sunday, which is a perfect day for me. However, the sun coming closer to us, it's hard not to say, guys. We've been saying it for all of our lives, Anyway, is at 5:34, I believe, is the exact time. I think the first train out of where I live is at 5:30. I think the first train is. Even if it was at 5 o'clock, I still wouldn't be able to make it, because I'd have to get to Grand Central Station and then run over. So I've got no choice. I'm going to have to drive down there and pay for parking, which sucks. Else you're never going to find parking down the city. I mean, you can, but in the areas that I'm going to be going at, I don't believe you can. So what I would like to do is in the morning, I'm going to capture this sun coming closer to us, right in between the two buildings. And I believe, I'm not sure what road it's on. I'll look it up, at Main Street somewhere. It just aligns with the grid of the city, basically. The city is one big grid. That's all it is. You can't get lost in the city. It's just an island and it's a grid. It's like a computer game, basically. That's all it is. As long as you know the avenues and the east and the west side, you know the city. Anyway, and then you got Central Park in the middle. Okay. So anyway, so you'll be able to see it, sun coming toward us in between the buildings, illuminating the street. I think that would be awesome to see, considering it's right on the, Henry Hudson. So it's not flat though, because you've got the Palisades. So I'm not really, I have to map all of this out. Anyway, so my point is, this once again proves flat Earth. How does it prove flat Earth? Well, not proves flat Earth, but it brings up question marks. Because there's no way of proving it either way. You see, now that's the thing. Okay, we'll figure it out some way or another. We're all getting into this just in the last few years. But for now, there's no way of proving the ball, and there's no way of proving flat Earth. You can just sit there and argue about it. We can prove that we can see a hell of a lot further than we should be able to see, almost infinity, but unfortunately water is a lot thicker than the air is 90% water, so you can't see very far. On a good day in the morning, you could probably see 40, 50 miles. There should be a curvature, and we don't see one. Explain that, there's so many things that need to be explained that the scientists can't come up with any explanation at all. Explain why the moon is projecting its own, almost, cold. Why is that? How could that be? Why can't a scientist explain that to us? Why is it? And the reason why in a flat Earth is because the moon is its own projection. It's totally separate from the sun. The sun and the moon have absolutely no relationship at all whatsoever. None. There's no sun reflecting off of the moon. If it was, you couldn't be able to take a picture on the moon to begin with anyway, because it would be so saturated with light, you wouldn't see shit. And meanwhile, these guys on the moon, you could see, it looks like dirt. It looks like basically your chimney ashes, my ass. Have you seen the moon on a nice clear day? Come on, it's bright as hell. It's almost as bright as the sun when it's full. It's incredible how, And then I bring up that the sun is possibly not even more than 500 miles away, 100 miles away maybe 1,000 miles away. We don't know, but they're both the same size. See, that cuts out space. People don't like that. They like space. Okay, space is good. Space means we have a future. We're going to go where no man has gone before. Yeah, that's right, no man has gone before there, because there's a dome covering us, preventing us from going anywhere. See, don't you see this? People fight that. People fight it because they can't swallow their pride. They can't understand that they've been lied to all of their lives. They can't do it, and some people can't do it. They just can't comprehend it. And it's amazing that we have been able to just get over that threshold, swallow our pride, and say, yeah, you know what, we've been lied to. All of it's bullshit. It's been put out there for a reason. The internet's out there for a reason. All of the social networking's out there for a reason. When something happens, people find out about it in 2 seconds. 2 seconds they find out about it. It's an alert on your mobile phone. Everybody, billions of people find out about it. There are more phones out there than fucking people, for crying out loud. Anyway, so my point is with the solstice that we're going to have in New York City, and it only happens one day out of the year, every year, the same time. It's just impossible. It's just with the amount of traveling that they say we do through space. Because remember, I told you we grew up. The solar system was standing still. The galaxy wasn't moving anywhere. It wasn't going anywhere. We weren't traveling anywhere. We were just a stationary object. Remember, there's another word, stationary. That's what we are, stationary. We are not moving at all. Everything up there is moving. We're not. Another ironic thing that they teach us in science class. Isn't it funny? It's just so much. It's like where it's like, you can, I mean, just this could go on for a lifetime. Really, it's unbelievable how much bullshit is out there, and what you can look into and read in between, and see the truth right before your eyes in everything. Anyway, so the sun never ever ever moves ever. It's always the same. It's always going to be the same. The stars are always going to be in the same spot for the rest of your life. They're never going to move. 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, whatever it may be, they're never going to move. The sun will never move. It'll always show up in the city like that, the same exact way on that particular date. But yet we are traveling through space at this tremendous speed. Our solar system is moving at this tremendous speed. We're spinning at 1,000 miles at this tremendous speed. And everything just screams out to us that, hey, we're not moving. Nothing's moving. We are stationary. And people don't see that. They can't, I don't know. They don't think. I mean, it's amazing when you get to people, children, at that young age, and they just go through their lives not even thinking about it, not even investigating it, because they don't care anymore. They already know what what it's all about. We were all taught that we lived in a solar system. Why would you question it? I mean, that's just it amazes me. It really does how well that's worked. And I don't know. I thank you for subbing. I thank you for viewing my channel and let me be a part of your life.